Thank you very much, Petr, for this extremely inspiring speech, keynote speech that we had for our panel. Good afternoon, everybody, Your Excellencies, esteemed ladies and gentlemen. Those of you who have just joined us in the afternoon, welcome. I hope you all enjoyed lunch, and I also hope that your post-lunch espresso was ristretto, because we intend to make this panel a very fast and brutally honest one. So our topic today, and again, no surprises here, the panel today is powered by Slovenská sporiteľňa, whose head we just heard on the stage with a wonderful keynote. It's been formulated as bringing EU competitiveness back to life. It does sound like we're about to start a CPR on EU competitiveness, but for that, I suppose, not an easy job, but someone's got to do it, so preferably you bring some people who have experience and know what they're doing and saying, and I think today we have just that. I don't have much to add to the keynote, because what I find most amazing, I think throughout the conference usually and today, how one panel flows into the other one. I also, for those of you who just joined us, I also moderated the panel before, and it was on automotive industry. And what we finished with, one of the main takeaways was that one of the things to bring the sector into the future on the V4 platform is competitiveness. Competition is a driver. So we've very much flown into the topic of competitiveness from the previous panel. And Petr today, I think, highlighted a lot of the main factors that could contribute to the EU competitiveness, and that's something we plan to focus on. We have, for the people in the audience, I encourage you to, throughout our discussion, come up with some questions for our esteemed speakers. You have the Slido, which you can use, or I have my wonderful colleague Olivia in the audience with a microphone in her hand, so if you want to ask a question at some point, and I will be coming back to the audience at a later stage, just raise your hand, she will come with a microphone, and you will be given the floor. From the very beginning, I want to announce something, so you all don't get a fright. One of our speakers needs to leave earlier than the panel will finish, so it is all planned. He is not going to be extremely bored and just walk off the stage. So, but yeah, Petr here has very important engagement he's going to. So he will be leaving the stage at some point, but it's all good. We will manage to ask him some questions before he does. So to summarize what Petr was saying, let me just paint a picture a little bit. So with the EU being still the world's second largest economy, while the others are racing ahead, I'm going to throw in a little argument here that sometimes I think we're often caught debating at how fast we are to run. And in the latest IMD World Competitiveness Ranking, sort of none of the V4 countries made the top 30. However, Czech Republic came close at 33rd, and Poland at 41st, Hungary 46th, and Slovakia 51st. At the same time, we do see a lot of aspects where Visegrad countries are showing a lot of initiative. And banks and financial institutions like our esteemed sponsor of the panel, for example, Slovenská sporiteľňa, hold the capacity to lead the region's digital transformation, as are some of the companies present on the panel today. Poland and Hungary are seeing very rapid growth in consumer platforms and e-retail. Talent pools remain very deep in Czech Republic, but we have a question of what we call a brain drain, and the rising matter of demographic aging, and that's labor force included. That risks future capacity, again, depending which way you look at it. Some problems or challenges can be turned into opportunities, and that's something I would like to discuss today. Meanwhile, what we're seeing globally is China is rewriting supply chains, US is throwing billions into industrial policies, and talent, in my humble opinion, is becoming the new oil. The workforce right now is the topic on everybody's minds and lips. So where does V4 fit into all of that? And can we as a platform help to re-energize EU's competitiveness? And if so, which levers do we need to pull first? That's the matters I would like to throw on the stage today. So for that, joining me on stage today are the people, I'm not afraid to say, who are making EU competitive on a daily basis. And whether it's online, on the rails, on store shelves, or in fertilizer plants, for that matter, but these are the people who represent the competitiveness of the EU as a region. So, without further ado, I would like to give you all a chance to introduce yourselves. Just take a couple of moments to introduce your companies, yourselves. And one question which I have for all of you to start with is, when you think and when you hear EU competitiveness, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Whoever wants to go first, please. Lady, no? Marta.
Hello, everyone. Dobrý den. My name is Marta Mikliszańska. I'm the Director of Public Policy for Allegro. I represent the company that celebrates 25 years this year. And we were born as a startup, Polish startup in a western city, Poznań. And we started as an online auction platform. And throughout the years, we've been professionalizing our services, and now we are a professional marketplace, so a platform that connects sellers and consumers. So because of the large scale of our operations, we became the largest marketplace of European origins in Europe, definitely in region and Europe, I would say. So I think our presence here is not also a coincidence, I think, because 2 years ago we also made the decision not to be only a Polish marketplace operating only on the Polish market, but we also decided to expand our operations to Czech markets 2 years ago and last year to Slovakian and Hungarian markets. So we are this, I think, very practical proof that the combination of regional consumers and sellers and businesses can meet on one platform, and we can connect the region.
Thank you. Petr, do you want to go next?
Thank you. My name is Petr Cingr. I am Vice Chairman of the Board of AGROFERT, which is Czech-based holding, having in the portfolio over 260 independent legal bodies. Our strategy is to be integrated, we are saying, from the field to the fork. At the beginning of this integration chain, we produce fertilizers and technical nitrogen. We are second largest European producer, producing over 8 million tons of fertilizers for agriculture segment in overall Europe, but the main target is V4 region for us. This segment is followed by agriculture. We are one of the largest farmer, again, active mainly in V4 countries, Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Hungary. And at the end of the chain, we are one of the largest producer of food. Let's say basic food means milk-based product, meat-based product, bakery-based product, and edible oil. Yeah. And what we are facing right now in the competitiveness is the fact that overall Europe is overpaying energies. So I will repeat most probably what you debate within the previous discussion with automotive segment. First, what politicians, either on European level or member state level must do is to find a way how to reduce the electricity and natural gas. Plus, I will include into this scope also price of CO2 certificates to the competitive level to those regions to which we are competing, means Middle East, China, and USA. In comparison with USA, we are paying 3 times higher price. In comparison with Middle East, 4 times higher price. In China, it's maybe not so important because, well, they are producing from coal and they are following a little bit different direction. And similar comparison we see in CO2 price. Other regions are not paying so much. So that are 3 main negative inputs which must be reduced at the level we are seeing in those 3 regions. If it will not happen, we will never be competitive, and long term or mid term, we will see what we are seeing right now, that there is a trend, at least in chemical industry, for last 1 year, that companies are leaving Europe with the capacities, and they are rather investing new facilities outside of the region and thinking about an option that they will import in the future same products which are critically important for overall industrial activities in Europe from other regions.
Hey, I'm Bálint from Euronics, Hungary, and basically we are one of the oldest family businesses in Hungary, and we come from a brick and mortar background, opposite of Allegro. We had the luck to welcome them to our market last year. It's a super competitive market, and I think we are a very good example on how, if there are the right basics are there, the right fundamentals, and you have the right team to build on it, then you can succeed. And now we are also running the biggest Hungarian-owned e-com site in the country, and we are also expanding to Croatia and soon to Slovenia as well. So I think it's a very exciting time, lots of competition from different countries, and there's always consolidation. If you look back in the past 10 years, there's just consolidation, and larger and larger competitors arising. And I think if there wouldn't be competition, we wouldn't be where we are today, because it makes us to focus more on development and focus more on how to serve our customers better. If you look back in the past 7-8 years, we basically reinvested 75% of our profits, and aside to that, we have also done a larger amount of bond issuance to finance all our investments. So it's a very interesting time to run a business like this.
Juraj?
So good afternoon to everybody. My name is Juraj Hudáč, and I'm the CEO of TATRAVAGÓNKA company. TATRAVAGÓNKA as a company and as a group of companies is a producer, the biggest European producer of the freight wagons. And when it comes to the competitiveness, from my point of view, I will only repeat what was said already during today's discussions. I believe that the most important thing, at least in our industry, is research and development and innovations. Why? As I said, TATRAVAGÓNKA as a group of companies is the biggest European producer of the freight wagons. And what was the crucial factor of our success was our own research and development. Since 1952, the company developed more than 200 various types of wagons. Some of them we produce nowadays still. And what makes difference as well is our own product, our own final product. So we are not producing something which is a part of a product being finalized by somebody else, but it is our final product. And on the top, I have to admit that from my point of view, the next crucial factor is the people. People really educated, people. This is another example. This is why we really closely cooperate with the schools, not only with the universities in our country, but also with the secondary schools, special secondary schools, and we try to support the education system in our region, in our country as much as possible. And what we are getting is are the colleagues. They are well educated and they really help us to fulfill our targets. So this is from my side.
Thank you very much. That's a very great start today. Petr, I'm going to come to you because I know you have to leave in 5 minutes. So, AGROFERT touches every link of the value chain, as you already mentioned, from raw input to finished food products, or as you put it, from the field to the fork, which really says anything you need to know about the company, I suppose. And you are the company who's seen the pressures up close. Anything, energy, regulation, you name it, global competition. I think what we're seeing lately is industrial policy as such is back in fashion, let me put it this way, especially with the introduction of the Green Deal, the transaction funding. You see a lot of programs, you see a lot of grants, which theoretically, I would think, help with the challenges that you've mentioned. My question is, does this actually reach companies like yours? Or do things get sort of stalled on the way in conditionality, paperwork, or anywhere else it can be tied at? How actually effective are these instruments that EU offers for companies like yours?
Yeah, well, what we see is that this is overregulated EU, yeah, and all those. And I will speak about some examples. Red law, yeah. There was at the beginning implemented Red 1. We didn't fulfill the target yet, but they implement Red 2. So right now Red 2 is implemented, all those we didn't reach the target of Red 1. What more, they are speaking about Red 3 right now. And always we are getting much tougher targets and nobody is listening what we are saying. We can't reach those targets for a simple reason. There is no technology for it. There is no time for it. And they are pushing us to invest into the technologies which can be implemented in the framework given to the industry. So, and this is another issue Europe has to look into and change their mind. They have to stop to introduce new legislation. And well, I'm criticizing right now EU, yeah, but on the other hand, I'm becoming a little bit positive right now. We had a meeting with Ursula von der Leyen twice. First one was in Antwerp 1.5 years ago, and the next one half a year ago. And it looks like that they start to understand that they have to act. It is maybe directly connected to the geopolitical situation, and well, if you compare what is happening in US and how fast they are changing the environment in US, they see that they have to act much faster in Europe, and they have to reduce. I hope that they feel that they need to do so. They have to reduce bureaucracy here. They introduce this omnibus, yeah. So let's hope that they will, in final, succeed in implementation. Some European guys, knowing how Brussels is acting, are saying that maybe at the end it will be minibus, yeah. But let's hope that they will act and they will, at the end, reduce the bureaucracy. And what is also important to highlight is the fact that right now they are speaking about such a modification of the law just for small and medium-sized enterprises, which will not help at all because, well, all those small and medium-sized enterprises rely on large enterprises because they are serving us by service and they deliver us some inputs. So important is to understand that also large enterprises needs such a support and has to be included into such a direction that we will modify the legal framework and simplify it to give us a chance to survive in global economy. Yeah.
Thank you very much. One very small question I have for you before I let you go. In one sentence, to summarize, if you could change one thing about how EU supports the competitiveness, what would it be?
Energy.
Thank you. Thank you about that.
If you don't mind, I will leave, yeah?
It's been a pleasure. Thank
So
you very
sorry
much.
for it,
Petr,
yeah.
please give a round of applause to Petr Cingr. We are going to let you go and we will continue with our discussion. Juraj, I'm going to stay on the industrial side of things for the time being. You're building freight wagons, not sophisticated applications, software, whatever, though you're heavily investing into R&D, which I want to get to in a little while. But the EU regulation that we talked about so much, even in previous panels today, would you say in your sphere of expertise, is it helping or hurting your ability to compete, and especially against the players with fewer, I would say, constraints on the environmental cost side and on all the other sides?
Okay, not an easy question, but I will try to answer it as
I
good
do my
as
best.
possible. Of course, research and development, as I said, is the crucial thing, yeah? Without it, we wouldn't be successful. Of course, I have to mention that to have a department, research and development in the volume we have, or in the size we have, you need to be big enough to drive research and development, yeah? So this is one of the crucial points. So the size of the enterprise, it is really very important, related to the regulations. We used to say that we are on the green side of the history because of our product. US regulations, so there are many ideas how to move the goods from the streets to the wagons. But from my point of view, these ideas so far are living only on the paper. I will explain why. Right now, as the time is a little bit difficult and the production capacities are a little bit lower than it was before, the volume of transport decreased as well. And the percentage of the decrease when it comes to the rails was 13%. When it comes to the trucks, to the road, it was something between 1 and 2%. Yeah? So there is declaration on one side, and then is the real life on the other side. So in this case, we would welcome the regulations to be a little bit stricter. Of course, on the other side, there are regulations, they are forcing us to produce more environmental friendly, what costs money, of course, and influence our competitiveness. But the influence on our competitiveness, I don't want to say that this has a minor effect. Of course, it has some effect. But as our product is really very, very special, it's really large and it is not easy to be transported. Also, the competitiveness from the other countries is somehow restricted by this, by this nature of our product. Of course, when we compare it to our competitors from Turkey, for example, where the transport is possible, also on the track, of course, we have some disadvantages. Yeah? We have some disadvantages. Sometimes we really struggle to be competitive in comparison to them. So in this case, it makes our life a little bit harder. But okay, competition is always good, makes you better.
As one of the speakers in my previous panel said, yeah, competition is what drives you. It gives you growth, I suppose. So that's the thing.
It's
Bálint,
true.
I want to move to you. Consumer electronics is what you do, I think, is brutally competitive. And thin margins, you have high energy costs, logistics are sometimes as crazy as it gets. Yet what you're doing with your company and how you've managed to transform the whole thing from back in the days as it started from the family business is very ambitious, and the results, they speak for themselves. What do you think was the key, and keeps remaining to be a key, to stay competitive without being such a giant in the industry?
As a good consultant, I can tell you to increase the revenue and decrease the costs, right? But jokes aside, I think I still very much believe in the culture, and we are speaking about competitiveness, but at the end, the question is, what is the main culture within the country, within the region, within the company? And just alone, especially in this region, I think this part is still underdeveloped in several ways, and culture is one of them. And we have to, people who worked abroad and have seen different cultures, they have a responsibility to bring part of those culture back to your local markets and to embed it into the DNS of the organization. And it always comes back to people. Even in tech adoption, I could talk about AI all the time, but at the end, it's really about the people who implement them. Mm-hmm. And in 2017-18, it was more a change in the channel. It was an innovation in whether it's offline or online. But in 2025, it's a very different time and a very different speed of adoption. It's not like you go to a different company and see how they work and you copy it, because by the time it's already in the market, you're already too late. And these are most often not physical things anymore. It's all happening under the hood, under the IT infrastructure. So I think the key is, of course, the right people. And for the right people, you have to grow. You have to give them a vision. And as I mentioned, the V4 is still having lots of potential to develop. It's a very fragmented market. And I see good examples like the Nordic Alliance. They have a good alliance in the Baltics, in the Benelux, where it's very similarly fragmented. And the problem here is that each of these 4 countries are individually building their own heroes, instead of course, building one together. And because of this, we not focusing on our strength, but multiplicating everything in every single country. And then we see some of these Chinese giants come in, and it's also very hard to see whether they are profitable, whether they are sustainable, because there's so much support behind them. So I think also regarding EU and regarding each individual country's support, their role is not to do the work instead of the players, but to help them to build a foundation where they can jump from. And of course, we see the larger economies, especially from Poland and Czech Republic. We have many strong competitors, also from Romania. But we also have to grow. If I want to attract and if I want to keep the right talent, then I have to give them the vision that there is future for them. And it's also time for us. I think we have very good IT systems that we have developed, and it's time to scale. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good point. We have a question from the audience, and I thank the audience very much. I think very much in line with what you're saying. So we heard everyone talking about needing more competitiveness in the industries. However, how do we retain critical talent to ensure the continuity? So giving them the vision and the mission of the business and the market is something you mentioned, which is one thing. Marta, do you want to pick up on that?
Yes, but maybe I can come back to your first question that
Sure.
I didn't quite respond at the beginning. The question, what is the one word that I would see describing the competitiveness? And I would say level playing field. It's something that is crucial to allow us to grow. We are not scared of competitiveness and to compete with other players, but I think it's very important, and it was said before also at the beginning of the conference, that there is so much regulations coming, especially for tech sector as like ours. For the last couple of years, there have been like lot of regulations and on European level, but also implemented on local markets through the legal framework of member countries that we had to face, that we had to meet and comply with. And of course, we are doing it, but it's very important that we all play the same rules and that we all comply with the same laws. So not only European players who are present on the European market, but also the players and the businesses that are coming outside the Europe. And you mentioned it, right? So it's very, it's not easy to track. Just to give you an example, this year in February there was this great e-commerce communication from the Commission, European Commission, and also Commissioner Šefčovič was one of the authors of this communication. It was based on the research conducted by the European Commission about how Chinese marketplaces are like invading European markets. So just to give you one number, the low value parcels that are coming to the European market every day is the number of 12 million of parcels coming as letters, as like a small parcels, untrackable. So no VAT, no taxes paid, and this is like a really an important issue. Not to speak about being compliant with the regulation. We all want to play the same rules. Also, the cost of compliance is very high. It's not just the cost for us as a platform, but it's also a cost for all those small and medium entrepreneurs who have to adjust their businesses to the current and local regulations. They want to be compliant, so they need to bear the cost, whereas at the same time other players, they don't. So I think this is one thing. The second thing is the fragmentation of market that I think it was said before at this panel. 2 years ago, we made this decision to go abroad, and I can tell that we haven't realized, as being a Polish marketplace, we didn't realize how fragmented the European market is. So what we need to face right now is like completely different legal frameworks. Of course, for our entrepreneurs, for our sellers, is also a great challenge. Just to give you an example, this extended producers responsibility, which is like a also if you bring a new product to the market, you need to pay the fee. You need to be also signed to this database of waste management database, local. In the local, in the country that you're bringing your products, and you have to pay the fee. And can you imagine all those national databases? They're not even translated into English. So if we are like a Polish merchant exporting to the Czech market, Polish merchant need to make this effort to really like somehow maybe translate or understand what is said on the website of this database. They need to sign up. Then they need to also deliver the reports, the regular reports about the waste management they are the bringing, and also to pay the fee. And the same things goes to Czech merchants or Slovak merchants or Hungarian merchants. They want to export. So they need to really navigate into this very, very complex legal frameworks of those countries within the EU, within the region, which of course doesn't help, because at the same time SMEs, they have to really face other challenges like digital competences, cybersecurity, a lot of things of getting to access to the consumers, marketing costs, everything like that. So if they need to face also upon of that. All the challenges regarding the differences between the legal frameworks at the European markets, it's really not easy to make the business in the way to be profitable.
That's when you get the competitive levels very high with the legal advisors at this point in time. I suppose, in various markets.
If I can
Bálint, you
just
wanna
also
Of
add to
course.
those 2 points, because also for us it's very relevant that, as you first mentioned, the outside, let's say, especially Chinese competitors, the pace is so quick that I think the EU and the local governments have to be a lot quicker. Because, okay, they give them significant fines later, but in the meantime, we see family businesses run out of cash. They just cannot pay for the increased marketing. They cannot pay for they are paying for their compliance, and they're trying to play legally. Whilst we see that many of these competitors from China, they don't really mind until they reach a certain revenue. And the other thing is that when we speak about cross-border expansion in Europe, of course, it's one open market, but we have different currencies, we have different VAT, and we have loads of different taxes that also count into the business. And I think the EU mostly regulates either the retailer or the manufacturer, but there are lots of companies still in between. And many times they do not prefer you to sell your goods abroad, right? So that's also a very important question when it comes to foreign expansion. I think that although the EU is open to have open borders and more competition, but there are still some players who are really fighting against it.
Yeah, that's very valid points. You're right. Can I throw in? The audience has been very active. Can I throw in a question from there for you? How long can V4 companies rely on internal consumption, given the decreasing population, and what is the midterm answer for this phenomenon? Considering the company has been alive for many years now, how do you deal with the phenomena in not, I would say, the easiest sector that you're present in?
Okay, we are not the consumption sector, but on the other hand, this is an opportunity for us, yeah, because to transport the goods using the freight wagons, you need only one man, because maybe in the future there is no need of the workforce to operate, let's say, 1,200 to 1,500 tons. So maybe for us it could be an opportunity. I don't know, maybe.
Anyone else wants to add anything on the decreasing population and the lack of labor force in the future, at the risks related to that?
Well, from our perspective, I wouldn't agree that this internal market of the European Union is decreasing. I would say that we see so much of opportunities there, and so many consumers, and connecting consumers with merchants. We see it as a great opportunity and a very growing market from our side.
Yeah, Bálint, do you want to add?
I was just reading a book, and the first 2 sentences were like, "What's wrong with the American manufacturing industry? I help you nothing, and it's booming." And I think it's very similar here, that we have to understand that if there is no added value, and I think the V4 is still very much focused on price competitiveness rather than adding value with R&D and patents. And I think that's the way where we have to focus, because once we have added value, then we can also export a lot easier. And within our region, we also see a drop in population in Hungary, and of course that leads to consolidation and more efficiencies. So I think that's just increasing competitiveness, but I don't see it as a problem. I think it's much more about how you keep a customer in your ecosystem for a longer period, because in 2025 to pay online advertisement to convince a customer to buy a microwave, it's not very profitable. So it's all about keeping them happy and endorsing you for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Do you want to
If
add?
I may, I just want to underline one thing regarding the fragmentation of the European market, because from my point of view, this is also the crucial thing, and this is also a difficulty for many of the companies. And I just want to bring up the example from our industry, where almost all of the European countries, they gave up their national standards And they accepted the international, the European standard. Of course, this standard has been reworked already 2 or 3 times, but it works. It works, and this unification allows the company to grow. So, from my point of view, this is also very important.
Okay, we have like 20 seconds remaining, but I'm going to be a little bit naughty and ask you one final question. I want you to be as brief as possible. When we talk about customer power, you know, today everybody wants, I mean, the customers are more price sensitive than ever, I would say, and they want sustainable products, instant delivery with a smile, everything done impeccably well. How do we in this region stay competitive and responsible at the same time? Any thoughts on that?
I think it's in everyone's interest, both the customer and both the company. Especially in the US, if you look at how much outside fund is invested within the business, and then they have, let's say, 10 years to break even and be profitable. In Europe, it's a lot more conservative, and most often companies invest within their own funds. And due to this reason, I think there's more focus on long-time customer loyalty.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, for me, I think it's, of course, what you've mentioned is kind of loyalty, building this loyalty programs and keeping up the consumers happy and you know, coming back to us. It's not just that we want consumers just to try the new service, the new platform. We want them to stay and come back to us. So, of course, there are 3 factors that are, I think, the major, like our mission and vision is price, convenience, selection, and convenience. And this convenience thing is, I think, very, very important. So, of course, the time, the predictability of delivery, and also the fact that within our loyalty programs, the delivery is for free for there's like a loyalty program, so you pay just once a year, like 10 euros for once a year, and then you have this fee-free delivery to the points that, you know, picking up the method of delivery is also very important. But I think, you know, from our perspective, because we've built this loyalty on the Polish market for over 25 years, I mentioned. So we're really like a leader on this market. But coming out and expanding and going cross-border to other markets, it became like a completely new journey for us. I mean, we couldn't just copy-paste our business model, you know, 100%. We had to get more in depth into the consumers' behaviors, consumers' expectations. And I would say, especially the Czech market is not easy. I mean, we differ so much. We are the one region, we are, you know, we have the same, we share the same history, we share the same, probably, maybe we're very cultural, you know, there are not so many cultural differences, but when it comes to consumer behaviors, it's different. So just to give you an example, this, payment on delivery. It's something that in Poland doesn't exist anymore. So people are like, you know, the payment is immediate when you're, you know, we have 2 clicks, and with a second click, you're just making your payment. Whereas on the Czech market, it's completely different. 80% of our consumers, they prefer this method, payment on delivery. So what we had to do when we decided to also expand our delivery pickup points, so parcel machines, maybe you're familiar with.
Yep.
We had to put also this ATM. We had to combine parcel machine with ATM because we knew that Czech consumers would like to pay, you know, once they have the product, right? They don't want to pay in advance. So to understand the complexity of also and differences between the different consumers' expectations, I think it's very important to keep them loyal.
Thank you. Thank you, Marta. Do you want to add something? Or?
May I?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so in the situation like this, when you need to fight for every order, of course the customers are a little bit picky. On the other hand, we are getting used to the fact that we need to customize our solutions to the need of our customers, to the various needs of our customers, and in the end, we are here for the customers. Yeah? So we need to do our utmost to fulfill their requirements, their wishes.
Thank you very much to all of you. for all the insights that we got today and for the honesty and for, I think, helping us not to just talk about competitiveness, but to actually try and challenge the topic. And there was a lot of talk today saying that, yeah, maybe Europe was asleep at some point, or maybe it's a bit slow. I think it just takes, sometimes it takes a while to calibrate the engines. In the ever-changing and dynamic external circumstances that we find ourselves in, but when the engine moves, it moves with power, and this is something that your companies have been showing us. The appetite is there. So it's a matter of just moving at an appropriate pace under appropriate circumstances. Thank you very much, everybody. I would like you to give a big round of applause to our panelists, and thank you to Slovenská sporiteľňa for sponsoring our panel. Thank you very much.